So that's me as a little kid.
Christian Picciolini is about as nice a guy as you could meet. Friendly, charming, smart. But some of the photos he's showing me reveal a very different side.
Where are you here?
So I was at the gates of Dachau concentration camp there, giving a Sieg Heil salute.
Christian Picciolini was once a racist, neo-Nazi skinhead leader in Chicago. He traveled to Klan rallies. He led meetings dressed in Nazi uniforms. His punk band was called The Final Solution. So how did this doting older brother become this monster? And how did he come back? Most of the story takes place here, just south of Chicago in the ethnically diverse, working-class suburb of Blue Island.
So this is the alley that I stood in at 14 years old, smoking a joint when I first met Clark Martel. I was actually standing probably right in this corner here.
Clark Martel founded the first neo-Nazi skinhead group in America, called Chicago Area Skinheads, or CASH, in 1985. It had only been around 2 years, based in Blue Island, when Christian encountered him in this alley.
And kind of like a scene out of a movie, this 1969 Firebird comes roaring down the alley, spitting up rocks and gravel and dust. And it stopped right here, inches from me. And he pulls the joint out of my mouth and he smacks me. And he says, "Don't you know that that's what the communists and the Jews want you to do to keep you docile?" And he said to me at that point, "My name is Clark Martel, and I'm going to save your life."
Christian entered a world of white power music, alcohol, and hate-filled propaganda. But it wasn't just rowdy, drunken posturing. According to the Anti-Defamation League, during the 1990s, racist skinheads were involved in the murders of at least 46 people in the United States. These scenes are from the HBO documentary Skinhead USA. And the lead singer of this band filmed at a rally in Alabama was Christian Picciolini.
This was actually the spot of one of our biggest recruiting meetings in the early 90s.
Christian rose in the ranks quickly in Chicago, because not long after Clark Martel recruited him, Martel was found guilty of brutally beating a woman he knew who was seen with a black man.
They went into her apartment, they broke in, and they pistol whipped her, and they painted a swastika on her apartment wall with her blood.
Martel went to prison, and 16-year-old Christian Picciolini became the leader of CASH.
Well, I believe we're warriors today, and we're fighting for a great cause, which is the white race. The white people don't have as much pride as I can think as the black people or Hispanics, and I think
He may have sounded calm on CNN, but Christian was becoming increasingly violent. He was expelled twice from Eisenhower High School, once for a fight with a black security guard. His arrest record includes assault, mob action, criminal damage to property, and battery. Once, at a McDonald's on the border of Blue Island and Chicago, Christian and his gang encountered a group of black teens.
And, we loudly proclaimed that this was our McDonald's, and they had no right to be there. They immediately ran out, and we chased after them. One of them turned around, pulled out a pistol, and shot 3 rounds at us until his gun jammed. We didn't stop. We found that individual after he tossed the gun, and we beat him to almost an inch of his life.
Christian's parents were Italian immigrants. He says they were good, loving parents, but worked long hours in their beauty salon. They and Christian's little brother knew some of his views, but they didn't know how deep he was getting, or how many guns he was amassing in his basement bedroom.
So this window here is actually the window of the basement apartment that I used to live in below my parents.
One night he heard rustling outside his window and thought it might be someone out for retaliation.
So I reached under my dresser and grabbed my sawed-off shotgun and crept along the wall and threw open the curtains on the other side of this window to shoot whoever was breaking in to my apartment, and realized quickly that they weren't the eyes of a stranger. They were actually my mother's on the other side of this window, who had been really preoccupied and concerned with what I'd been doing. So I was about a hair trigger away from shooting my own mother in the face with a sawed-off shotgun.
Christian Picciolini's skinhead gang may have hated blacks, Jews, Mexicans, and gays, but their biggest rivals were other skinheads, anti-racist skinheads.
I probably first heard about Christian around my freshman, sophomore year in high school, which would have been 91-ish.
Nora Flanagan was part of a skinhead group called SHARP, Skinheads Against Racial Prejudice.
He became kind of this mythical, a very real kind of force of evil.
We ended up fighting these anti-racist white skinheads more than anybody else. Huh. Yeah.
You know, people would go to a concert or go to a party, and before they knew it, in walked the white power army, and then havoc would ensue. I had friends that were hospitalized.
So how did Christian Picciolini leave that life? And can we believe his transformation? The Anti-Defamation League thinks so. A 1993 ADL report identified Christian Picciolini as a neo-Nazi skinhead leader. Yet in 2015, he was the featured speaker at an ADL event.
If we didn't know him and get a full understanding of his seriousness in which he changed his life, we would obviously be skittish. But he has proved to us, and I think a lot of the people that do this work, that he has fully changed.
And with that, I want to bring up my friend Christian Picciolini.
In the audience is Christian's old rival and now friend, Nora Flanagan.
Nowadays, do you believe him?
Absolutely.
Nora is an English teacher and helped Christian with his memoir.
After seeing him at a show or two, he got my contact info from the band and emailed me and said, "Hi, this is weird, but I'm working on a book about what I've done and who I am now, and I was wondering if you would take a look at it." And so here was this guy who, throughout my teenage years, had been this monster under the bed, this lurking presence in the scene, this mythical person. And now I was sitting having sushi with him, talking about how to construct a memoir, and it was bizarre.
But as Nora found out, it wasn't an overnight transformation. Christian says the doubts began at age 19. He fell in love with Lisa, and they had a baby boy.
And when I held this little white child in my hand, my son, I thought, against everything that I had been taught for 7 years, that I didn't want him involved in what I was involved in.
He continued to be involved, but he says having a child put a crack in his certainty. Then, to support his family, Christian opened a record store.
Sold punk rock music and ska music and rockabilly music and heavy metal music, but behind the counter I sold white power music. Before I knew it, I was making money hand over fist selling white power music.
But going into business had an unexpected outcome.
When I decided to open this store, I said, I'm going to treat everybody equally, black, white, brown. I'm going to be a good businessman. I'm going to bite my tongue. And I couldn't reconcile the hate anymore. I couldn't justify it.
Christian's racist life was coming apart. He stopped selling the white power music and his sales plummeted. The business went under. His skinhead comrades saw the change, and to this day he is known in that world as a race traitor. His marriage also ended, and he moved back into the basement.
I cracked, and something took its place.
Christian and another former skinhead started Life After Hate to educate the public about hate groups and to help people get out. But he says the credit for pushing him to take action against hate goes to an unlikely source, the black security guard who was his nemesis here at Eisenhower High School. A few years after he'd left the white power world, he ran into him here.
I didn't really know what to do other than run after him and tap him on the shoulder and apologize to him for what I had done.
The man forgave him but said it wasn't enough. He said Christian now had a responsibility to tell his story and to fight hate. So he's written a memoir, and he consults with law enforcement. And he tells his story to anyone who will listen.